Long sleeve versus short sleeve BJJ rash guard. It's usually the question that first comes up when you start shopping for one. But honestly, the sleeve length is probably not even the most important part of what you should be looking at when you're looking to buy a rash guard. In this video, I'll be walking you through what you need to think about when you're shopping for a rash guard that you're going to be training in. We'll cover the fundamentals and then we'll get into the whole long versus short sleeve debate, or conundrum, whatever you want to call it. And by the end of the video, you'll actually know exactly which one fits you and the way that you train. Before you think about short or long sleeve, you need the basics to be done right. Believe me when I say that the length of your sleeve is not going to save you if you're picking something that's on the cheaper side. First thing, let's be honest, there's really no difference between a compression shirt and a BJJ rash guards, except maybe the logos and the sublimation printing and everything that goes into the design itself. But other than that, they're pretty much the same product. But a good compression shirt, a good BJJ rash guard is going to have four things. First, it needs to have good compression fit. It needs to follow your body as close as possible, without being too overly tight. If it's too loose, it's going to tangle up in your partner's feet or fingers and it's not comfortable to roll in because it bunches up. And if it's too tight, well, you're going to be thinking about your gear because it's hugging you too much. The second thing is the fabric itself. It needs to stretch, it needs to be breathable, and it needs to come back to its original shape once it's done being stretched. So it needs some sort of elasticity. And not only that, it needs to do those things repeatedly, washing after washing. One of the first things you're going to notice if you do buy a cheaper gi, cheaper rash guards lose their compression a lot faster than good ones. For some of them, you'll start to feel it after 5 or 6 washes. The third thing to look at is the stitching. Now, I know it's not glamorous, but it's what's holding the pieces of fabric together, so it needs to be strong. The gold standard in the industry right now is what we call flatlock stitching. It sits flat against the tissue and the skin, so it causes less irritation, and it's still a strong stitching. What's going to end up happening with cheaper ones is you're going to have regular stitching, which forms a little bump, and it rubs on your skin. It's uncomfortable, and it gets irritating after a while. Plus, rash guards are most likely to rip at those seams. The fourth thing to watch is graphics. Of course, in the industry right now, the gold standard is sublimated printing because it goes deep in the tissue. It actually makes for a permanent ink, which stretches along with the fabric and comes back, holds its shape, doesn't crack after a few washing. So it's the gold standard for a reason. It's very good. You don't want to have, ideally, rash guards that have screen printing on them because it's going to crack, it's going to fall off, and after a few washes, it's not going to be nice anymore. So before you even get to the sleeves, you have to figure out those 4 basic things to know if you're buying something that's of quality or not. This is an example of a long sleeve rash guard, and its main advantage is coverage. More fabric on your arms basically means more protection from potential mat burns, friction, skin-to-skin contact. Potentially, some argue that it also reduces the risk of skin infections that are common in gyms. There's a feel component to it, obviously, and that's personal preference. Some people will like the feeling of the compression that goes down to their arms. It makes them feel secure and tight, and some people like that feeling. And the trade-off is pretty simple. A longer sleeve with longer coverage is also going to mean a little bit more weight and probably a little bit more heat. And some people also think that for the no-gi grappling, it gives some sort of advantage because it's easier to grab fabric than to grab slippery arms that are sweating, which I can probably vouch for. I think it is easier to grab fabric. If you value a secure fit, if you value coverage and hygiene is your main concern, skin on skin, then I would say a long sleeve rash guard is probably your best bet. So this is a short sleeve rash guard. So basically the main advantages are pretty obvious. You're going to have less fabric, so it means a little bit more freedom of movement, especially in your arms, a little bit cooler and a little bit lighter. So if your gym runs hot, you don't have AC, or you live in Florida, then short sleeve rash guards might be the thing you're looking for because it's hot and you don't want that extra layer of tissue on your arms. So basically the short sleeve is going to be the more minimal option for those who want to feel like they don't have much on their upper body. But obviously the same 4 fundamental things that we talked about earlier apply to these types of rash guards. The sleeves being shorter doesn't mean the quality has to be lower. If you want something lighter that just gets out of your way and you don't have to think about it while training, short sleeves is probably the way you should go. The reality is, this is a cheap Amazon compression shirt. I've bought them before, I still have some in my drawers. There's nothing wrong with it. They'll cost you 10, 15 bucks. There's nothing wrong buying these when you're on a tight budget, and they'll do the job for a little while. But you have to be honest, there's a cost that comes with that. So the first thing you're going to notice, like on this one, is that the collar is going to stretch. The hem of the arms is going to stretch out. And over time, it's going to lose a lot of its elasticity, and it's just going to stretch out, and it's not going to come back as tight as it was when you bought it. Now, depending on how cheap you go, it might just last 2 or 3 washes and it's already going to start to fall apart. Or it might just last a little longer. I've actually bought cheaper compression shirts that were pretty decent. I guess what I'm saying is, be careful not to spend all your time deciding between short and long sleeves when you should actually be focusing maybe more on quality of what you're buying. At the end of the day, if you want good value for your money and you want something that's going to last a little longer than 2 or 3 months, you might as well spend a little more if you have the money and go for a good quality rash guard. So when you're shopping, I suggest that you just start with the basics and then look at the sleeve lengths after. A lot of good quality gis come also with some cool features, like this one has a silicone grip on the waist. So that's pretty useful because it keeps the waist from your compression shirt from rolling back up. If you're lucky, the brand that you're going for might even tell you what the GSM and the composition of the rash guard is. And that's pretty useful information because it's going to tell you if you're going to have a thin, lightweight rash guard that's going to be less durable, but that's going to help you have more mobility. Or if you're going to have a thicker material that's going to be more dense, that's going to be a lot more durable through time, and that is probably going to last you much longer. No matter the brand that you go for, these are probably the details you should be looking at when you're looking to buy a rash guard. Because the honest answer is that the sleeve length matters a lot less than those details. So here's the simple and dirty version. If you want more coverage and you're willing to take a little more heat, then pick a long sleeve. If you want more mobility and you don't want to feel the thing that's on your body and you want more freedom of mobility, then pick the short sleeve. They're both going to work for no gi, and they're both going to work with the gi. You can just wear them under the gi as an extra coverage hygiene layer. So the better option really depends on what you want and the way that you train. And to be quite honest, if you train quite a lot, you'll probably end up having multiple short and long sleeve rash guards. If you are currently looking to buy one of these rash guards and these fundamentals are important to you, you can go check out our website at stonebelt.ca. The link is going to be in the description and in the comments, and we've built a couple versions. We've got a long sleeve and we got a short sleeve design, and they're both clean design, focused on the durability, on the fundamentals that make a good BJJ rash guard. If this was actually helpful information for you, I would really appreciate if you can click that like button, and you can leave a comment. Let me know what you're looking for when you're buying a rash guard, and I'll answer every single comment that you guys leave out there. So train hard, take care of your gear, and I'll see you on the next video.